If the Kaaba was built by Abraham for the one true God, what was it? Was it not? Was it the epicenter of pagan goddesses worship for centuries? And why was the transition so blurry that the prophet himself allegedly struggled to separate the two? The black stone is a meteorite idol. Archaeologists and geologists, such as those cited by British Museum, suggest that the black stone is likely an impact glass or meteorite. The biblical contrast in Acts 19, the Apostle Paul enters Ephesus where people worship a stone that fell from the sky. You hear that? The image of a thermos.
Wow.
Optimus. Paul preached that God made with hands are no gods at all. The dilemma. Islam claims to be the pure version of the message Paul preached, yet it directs the entire world to bow down towards a stone that fell from the sky, mirroring every very paganism Paul condemned in Ephesus. 4. Desecration history. If the Kaaba and Blackstone divinely protected houses of God, history tells a different story. The Corinthian theft in 1930 AD, a sect called the Corinthians, attacked Mecca. Listen to this. Attacked Mecca, slaughtered pilgrims, stole the black stone, and kept it for 21 years and allegedly used it as a toilet to show it had no power. They eventually returned it in pieces, which is why it's held together by a silver frame today.
Say that again.
Say it again. The Corinthians.
Oh, wow.
In 930 AD, a sect called the Corinthians attacked Mecca, slaughtered pilgrims, and stole the black stone. They kept it for 21 years and allegedly used it in a toilet to show it had no power. They eventually returned it in pieces, which is why it's held together by a silver frame today.
That's true.
The argument in the Bible, when the Philistines stole the Ark of the Covenant, God sent plagues until they returned it. 1 Samuel chapter 5. When black stone was stolen, desecrated, nothing happened. It was just a stone. In other words, the wrath didn't abide with it. They used it as a toilet. They defecated and urinated all over it. But yet, now people kiss it. Anyways, if you're looking for a sanctuary built by Abraham, you won't find it in the 7th century pagan site in Mecca. You'll find the true temple, which Jesus said was his own body. Gospel of John, chapter 2, verse 19. The black stone is broken. It was stolen. It has no power to hear your prayers. Why bow to a stone that needs a silver frame to hold it together, when you could bow to the living stone who holds the universe together?
Yes.
To understand why the Kaaba is historically problematic, you have to look at what it was before Muhammad, a regional hub for polytheism.
Yes.
The worship of many gods.
Many gods.
The 360 idols, according to early Islamic biographers Ibn Ishaq. When Muhammad entered Mecca in 1630 AD, the Kaaba was surrounded by 300 idols, one on the very day of the lunar year. The history that proves the Kaaba was not a forgotten monotheistic site. It was the most successful pagan mall in Arabia. The Quraysh tribe, Muhammad's tribe, made their wealth by charging pilgrims to visit their different gods. The biblical contradiction in the Bible. The biblical contradiction. In the Bible, when God's people fell into idolatry, God sent prophets to destroy the idols and the altars themselves. He never repurposed a pagan temple. In 1 Kings 18, Elijah didn't try to share the altar with the prophets of Baal. He built a brand new one to show the total separation between the true God and the idols.
True.
The daughters of Allah, the satanic verses. Before Islam, the three most important deities at the Kaaba were goddesses known as the daughters of Allah.
Yeah.
Alat, the mother goddess associated with the sun earth. Ozal, the goddess of power associated with the morning star and Venus. And 3, Manat, the goddess of fate and death. The fact, these goddesses were worshipped throughout the Nabatean kingdom, centered in Petra. So in other words, it was brought down from Petra. This worship was brought down into in the area of what we call Saudi Arabia today.
Right.
It was brought down. The archaeological evidence for these specific goddesses is everywhere in Petra, but virtually non-existent in the 7th century Mecca. There was a god called Baal, the moon god. Baal. The primary god of Kaaba before Muhammad was Baal. It was a human-shaped idol made of red agate with golden hand. The ritual, pagan Arabs would cast arrows in front of Hubal to divine future divination. So in other words, we have the Ouija board, right? They had Hubal, and they would put arrows in front of him, and I guess they would have some sort of table, and the table would give them their fortune. Such as Tawaf, circling the cube 7 times. So it wasn't something that was invented. It was something that had been going on for centuries.
Yeah, and they circle it counterclockwise.
They sent it counterclockwise.
Yes.
The Hajj, the annual pilgrimage, the kissing of the stone, the black stone.
Yes.
The Christian idols inside the Kaaba. There's a fascinating historical account in the Akbar Makkah history of Mecca that states that when Muhammad cleared the Kaaba, he found paintings of Abraham and even an icon of Virgin Mary and the infant Jesus inside the building. The logic: if Kaaba was a pagan house, why were there Christian icons inside? It suggests that by the 7th century, the Kaaba had become a catch-all shrine for every religion in the region. Muhammad didn't return to a pure Abrahamic state. He simply cleared out the competition and kept the building. When our God gets rid of something, he gets rid of it. Right? There can be only one God.
Yeah.
Right? All right. The Kaaba wasn't a mosque that fell into paganism. History shows it was a pagan temple that was baptized into Islam. You're told Abraham built it, but for 2,500 years, the only name associated with the building was Hubal, Allah, and Ozal. In the Bible, God says, what agreement has the temple of God with idols? 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 16. If the Kaaba was a den of 360 idols, why did Muhammad keep the building and the black stone? Why keep a pagan ritual circling a cube? The Bible tells us to flee from idolatry, not to rebrand it.
Rebrand. It's true.
The Kaaba was a regional pagan hub rather than an ancient Abrahamic.
Pure. Here is the dilemma. Only one man in all of history is recorded as completely pure by both the Bible and the Quran. One prayed for forgiveness. The other had the authority to grant it. So why follow the one who needed forgiveness instead of the one who gives it?